Make a motion to appoint Trustee Kinsey as acting mayor.
Anyone know?
What? Can you what?
Speak up a little louder.
Chairperson of the meeting, yes, and it'll speak up. Yes. First, we probably got to do a second moment of silence and pledge of allegiance.
That's how you do that when we do that.
Do we have a second on Joe's motion?
I'll second. Second, clerk, please take the roll.
Okay. Mark Clayton?
Yes.
Dick Kinsey?
Yes.
Terry Fountain?
He's on check. He said yes.
Okay. Ina Lindhorst?
Here.
Matt Mao?
Yes.
Joe Schott?
Yes.
Okay. Also, we have a motion to allow. Yeah, but I think we should do the roll call, all that stuff first. No. Then we have the roll call. Joe, what are we going to call?
Yes.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That citizen nominated to be mayor.
Can I have a motion to allow Trustee Fountain to participate? First, we got to do a roll call. We have to establish a quorum here. Really want to get him in this meeting. Then we'll get him on. So, Madam Clerk, will you take the roll, please?
Okay. Mark Clayton?
Present.
Dick Kinsey?
Present.
Terry Fountain?
Remotely present.
Ina Lindhorst?
Yes.
Matt Mao?
Present.
Joe Schott?
Here. Now we have Trustee Fountain, who's away on business and who has requested to participate remotely in the meeting. We need a motion to approve him to participate in business.
I will make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
I didn't hear what kind of business he was away on.
Trustee Fountain?
Yes.
We had just for the record, do you want to specify what business you're away on?
Basically, we're down taking care of an investment property that we have that we use to generate income.
Okay.
Private business then?
Yes.
All right. Trustee Kinsey, we have closed session next on the agenda, but we'd like to move that to later on in the agenda, so at this point, I would recommend we go to public comment.
Okay. Any objection to moving to closed session? None? Okay. Would anyone care to address the board this evening?
Is it
Yes,
just?
ma'am.
Okay.
Do you want to, if you go to that mic, Terry could probably hear you better?
Okay. You wanted to pass those along.
And stay here.
Let me stay here,
I
okay.
can't see you.
I'm up here again, asking some questions.
Please give your name for...
Andrea Parker. The first remark I'd like to make is about the billing for the utilities. My billing times are all over the board. Sometimes I have 20 days, sometimes I have 22 days, sometimes I have 15 days. And I'm sure that the people who are taking care of these billings in the village, it must drive them absolutely crazy. I lived in a lot of bigger places in Springfield, and what most of them were doing was they zoned their cities. And one section got their bill on X day, and they paid it on Y, and that's how they did it. And then another group got it on another day, and split it up that way so that everybody who lived in, say, Smallville got their bills on the same day. The next group got theirs on the same day. But this business of it being spread out all over the whole month, and then if you get a bill and it doesn't show up until, say, the 10th day of the month in our system, you've got 5 days plus 5 to pay it. That's 10 days to pay your bill. That's craziness. You're supposed to have at least 30 days to pay it, but I have no idea why you would allow from the 1st to the 15th. But if they don't get the bill, or the bill goes astray or something, people they just get it in their hand and you're demanding payment of it. So the billing system needs to be consistent. You need to have everybody get their bill at the same time, or divide it up so that certain sections get that's their day to get the bill. Because this business of 15 days and 20 days and 22 days and 30 days, it's ridiculous. And I'm sure it inconveniences the people that work for the village, because they're having to think about billings all the time because they're coming and going at such different days. My second remark is, does any member of the board know who owns the property at 3 Lakeside Drive? Nobody? That property is in violation of the International Property Maintenance Code, IPMC, Section 304.20, which says that all metal surfaces subject to rust or corrosion shall be coated to inhibit future rust and corrosion. Oxidation stains shall be removed from exterior surfaces. Surfaces designed for stabilization by oxidation are exempt from that requirement. 3 Lakeside Drive is the village of Chatham's water tank. So not only does this apply to that, it applies to the one in town too. So I passed out explanations of what the property maintenance code is, International Property Maintenance Code, and the rest is up to you folks.
I know it's killing you today, but I do have to meet every Tuesday night. Hi, Bonnie Bullock. B-I-L-E-C-K. Seeing as how we have a gentleman here from CMT, and I'm not directing to him because this is public comment, again, I want to ask, did anybody bother to find out where this came from? The printout from the 26th of the month when we had the water quality? Did anybody find that out? Did anybody care? It was CMT. Okay, did anybody find out from citizens what the unforeseen issues were?
And you were let them know, you told me. Yeah.
And the unforeseen issues are going to be repaired by, we need to know that information. This was wrong to put out, I don't know who told you to do it, don't really care, because they were all looking a little silly when I asked who put it out. Only Attorney Jurbans was willing to say he thought, keyword thought, it was you. I want to congratulate you guys on pulling this one off, buying that Vector truck. I have an issue on when you guys are purchasing something, and we're going to go back to me telling you, Joe, put that $5 million back up there. You guys have totally ignored the request for referendums on a limited amount that you guys can spend. You sat here in that meeting and you all agreed that after I asked for specs, which were not available here, and I asked you guys to table it, and I was ignored, and the reason why is because you guys just purchased, and I hope all the citizens out there watching, you guys just purchased a $513,000 Vector truck.
$500,000.
I can guarantee every single one of you people sitting here, the village of Chatham did not need a $513,000 Vector truck. Number one, you better train the guys to do it. Mr. McCarthy, our village manager, did state in that last meeting, they put money into that Vector truck so it would get a better trade-in. I've dealt with co-equipment out there in Rochester. Guy's not an idiot. He knows what was done to that truck. So you wasted money to fix it up, to trade it in for $49,000. $49,000. You could have sold it to a local person for that kind of money. I guarantee you. My knowledge of Vector trucks, I would have taken those specs if you guys would have had enough respect for me and the village citizens to table that vote. And I could have guaranteed you, City of Springfield wouldn't pay any more than $250,000 to $300,000 for a Vector. I know that for a fact, because I worked at the City of Springfield Sewer Division when they purchased the Vector. This Vector better be able to run itself. If you don't know what a Vector truck does, or what it's capable of doing, how dare any single one of you, even the ones I like, vote for that, without having the bottom line to the citizens on YouTube or any other place that they could see this. You guys blew $513,000 and it was not necessary, guaranteed. That truck better run itself. And with spending that kind of money, I would hope that you would take our good employees, the good employees that's going to run that, and give them the training that they deserve to run it. So that down the line, we don't have to turn around and put, I don't know how much into a Vector truck, Pat, to turn around and try to get a better deal on a trade-in. Co-equipment are not babies at this. They know what they're doing. So I don't care if you put $500 or if you put $5,000 into that Vector truck, it was a friggin' waste. A waste of citizens' money. Okay? Next thing is, as far as what Andrew spoke about,
Anyone else care to
They're
jump?
supposed to consist of 5 members of the residents of the village.
Yes, sir.
Ready on the clock?
Not yet.
Tell me when. All right. My name's Kirk Allen. I won't forget. You bet, Kirk-A-L-L-E-N. In regards to the investment, one of the things that we tend to do as an organization is read a whole lot. And today I went to the policies and the ordinances that you guys have, and I identified your investment policies, and it outlines the requirement of an investment committee. The reason I bring this up tonight, and I shared it with them, that's probably why you got the FOIA. When I looked through your last audit, I saw corporate bonds that include Apple, Berkshire Hathaway, Coca-Cola, IBM, Walmart. just shy of $500,000 in those investments. And what we saw at the College of DuPage was an investment policy that was run amok, and the board never saw on a monthly basis what was going on with those type of investments. And there's a thing called the Illinois Investment Act. And in that act, it specifically states, any public agency may invest any public funds as follows, and it gives two criteria and then a lot of stipulations to those criteria, but these two have to apply. In bonds, notes, certificates, indebtedness, treasury bills, or other securities now and hereafter issued, and here's the key, which are guaranteed by the full faith and credit of the United States of America as to the principal and interest. And I think you'll find that your Coca-Cola and your IBM and your Walmart don't meet that Investment Act policy, so you potentially are placing taxpayer money at risk by not following that. That was identified at the College of DuPage. If you're familiar with IMET and the whole scandal that happened there, a lot of money got lost through that process. When you don't see anything other than the annual audit, what's happening with that money that's not protected? I would contend that it's out of violation, and I would ask that you look into that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Dave, Sherry pointed out that that's the police pension fund, and they do have an investment advisory board, and they do have an auditor and an advisor that helps them through all that. It's not the village fund, it's the police pension fund.
Is that what
these corporate bonds? Because that's not what your annual audit says from your website. It actually has a separate, I'm not concerned with what you were told. I only have to go off the documents, and this says these are the Village of Chatham investments, and they have a separate breakdown for your pension funds,
And that's
for your police pension
And
funds.
that's not from the pension fund?
No, sir.
Yeah, we'll have to take
I'll have to
that.
look into that then.
I assume every public body has to have that investment policy adopted. I assume the village has adopted that, and we'll have to verify that also.
Right. And
I'd like into that.
We'll look into it.
And I would appreciate you look into it before you state a position, because you did that last time, and it was a lie. And that's where we get into trouble. Don't speculate, stick to the documents. This is right out of your own audit from your website, and it specifically has a breakdown on another page for your police pension investments.
Yeah, we can look into that.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else care to address the board this evening?
I just have one question. I requested the audio to be fixed. Oh, sorry, Darlene Judd. I requested that the audio be fixed so that when we go back and review the YouTube, that we can understand what is being said, how it's being said, and we still don't have that. If we could spend $500,000 on a truck, we should be able to spend $500 on getting the audio fixed, so we can at least know what's going on. I'm sorry, but it upsets me because it's been 2, 3, 4 months that the audio has been this way. And there's really no excuse for it.
I don't know, I checked the audio a couple meetings ago, and, you know, it was fine. Yeah, I can hear it, so I can hear it.
Well, you can hear it, what? Yeah, you can hear it, but you can't understand it unless you just totally concentrate on what you're listening to. And if you were at the meetings, it's a little easier to understand because you know what was said.
Is it a matter of just speaking more directly into the mics?
I don't think so, but I'm no audio person. I
Just like reverberation and stuff, and if anyone speaks a little louder than someone else, it negates what, you can't understand what people are saying. It's hard.
I don't know if it's the microphones or, I don't know. I'm not.
Wasn't there an adjustment made though, Ben? Yes, everything was fixed. It seemed to be working fine. If one person talks at a time and speaks into the microphone,
Doesn't
I don't see what is the problem.
But not everybody on the board's by the microphone, sometimes you got one too. And no offense, Mr. Kinsey, you're kind of hard to hear. In which soft spot, you're kind of hard to hear on it, there's a reason for that.
John, you got a point.
There you go.
So,
One thing that I've shared with the attorney in a conversation in the past, a podium, if you had a podium by one of the mics and make that the criteria, you come to the podium to speak, that typically solves that problem.
Thank you, Chester. Anyone else care to address the board this evening?
Is it plugged in?
We have this microphone here, and as long as that blue light's on, you should be able to hear us.
Why can't they?
I don't know. I heard it just fine.
It has to be like this for Maryland, yeah.
You might do a test 1, 2, 3 distance and see where it best hooks it up, and that way you go back and listen to it.
Meeting is great, meeting is great, meeting is great, meeting is great.
Anyone else care to address the board this evening?
I can have another 5 minutes, can I?
Okay, we have a motion to... Oh. Yes,
My
ma'am.
name's Kate, last name POLUDNIAK-YOUNG. And I would like to give my 5 minutes to Bonnie to finish.
I don't think
you can do that.
Yeah, you can. We've done it here before.
You guys just tired of hearing from me? Come on, take a vote, boys.
Jeff, you can confirm.
Mayor's not here to make a decision.
I don't believe that's in there. Jeff, you can confirm that.
You guys have time.
Anybody else care to address the board?
You got rules or you need another ordinance? Sorry, that was sarcasm. Mr. Fountain, do you have a problem with me speaking again? Is he there? Mr. Fountain?
Speak while we're looking for this, maybe we can...
Yeah, there you go.
Just be quiet.
Well, they're looking.
Go ahead and start speaking.
You can have my remaining 3 minutes.
Wait, so I cut you off.
Okay, Bonnie Billick, I'm not quite done with you people. Okay, so Kate has graciously given me her 5 minutes until they find the rule to cut me off. What is being done, you guys? I was serious in that last meeting when I said, every single one of you guys that think we're up here being really cold and mean, and sometimes we're funny, why don't you take these chairs up here? Let us sit up there. Give us the abuse that some of you guys think that you're getting. Another thing that I wanted you guys to look long and hard at, see if you guys had a discussion about this, is at the last meeting, at the water quality meeting, when I felt that Mr. Matt Now threatened me, and he's a trustee sitting up there. Anybody talk to Matt about that? Nobody talked to Matt. So it doesn't matter if Matt walks around with his chest stuck out going, next person that says anything to me about water is going to be sorry. That's acceptable for a trustee? Seriously, is that acceptable for a trustee? No. You want me to take a little vote here?
I would think if you felt threatened, you should file a police report.
Hello, where is he?
There's 1 year. What happened?
Matt?
Yeah.
An apology would probably get you a little bit out of trouble, but not that much. But the way we are being treated, most of you guys sat here and actually admitted that the water quality group did a lot of work, did a lot of FOIAs, did a lot of work for you guys, did a lot of research, but we don't see any movement. My biggest issue is it was announced that the forensic audit's going to be another, what, 6 months, a year? We haven't got time for that. We haven't got time. So explain to me and the citizens why you guys are holding off on that forensic audit. And Dave Kinsey, please do not say, because you don't think we'll find anything. The citizens are requesting this. The citizens are asking for this. And you're going to say you don't think you're going to find something? Satisfy the citizens that voted for you. Satisfy the citizens that are seriously concerned about this water. Do the forensic audit. It should not take 6 months or another year of this crappy water to do this. Another issue I have is, why are we having the water main breaks? Why are we having the boil orders? From what I understand, when we were flushing lines, we were not have to worry about, we left. We were not have to worry about boil orders. Who's doing the flushing? Which company? Are we doing it here? The village citizens?
CMT.
CMT's doing it.
Which, I mean, it has been really flushed in, ever.
So they are going to run into errors. Errors on breaking pipes, mains, individual lines. Then 311 needs to give a little more information on what kind of break that was.
Okay, there are no water main breaks.
Okay?
What is a result of?
Step closer. We want to hear this. Yes.
Okay. Basically what's happening, and it was stated in the website, there could be potential outages. If there are outages, that's going to result in boil orders if you lose pressure. So what happens is, we have designed a flushing program based on the best available data.
At the cost of what to the village?
$170,000.
Thank you.
Okay? Best available data based on the GIS mapping of an inventory of all of the water mains within the village of Chatham. So part of that, there's valves, hydrants, mains, connections, and everything else. Okay? So what happens is, we go out there and we design a flushing program to flush water in a single direction, so it's not back feeding around and stirring up water and causing sediment and everything else to go everywhere else. It's step-by-step logical procedure that gets everything out of the lines. Well, the problem exists is when there's valves that are not identified, there's connections that aren't on the map that should be and aren't because they were built 50, 60, 70 years ago.
Are you updating that map as you're flushing?
We are. Now, so far, on the flushing that we've done, we have found 10 valves that have been closed for no reason whatsoever. So part of the flushing program identifies that. As we're going through the flushing, we're looking at pressures, we're monitoring flows, and per the model, we can tell, wait a minute, this isn't flowing at the rate we anticipated it to be. There's got to be something going on here. So we search for other valves, we search for other locations, maybe connections of pipes that we weren't aware of. So as we go through that, sometimes we're digging up pipes to, yes, this is connected, okay, we're reevaluating the system. But there has absolutely been no main breaks. All of this is because of either connections that do or don't exist, or valves that are closed that should have been opened that we're not aware of, or valves that are closed and buried under the ground, so, and not on a map. And that's very frustrating, but until you go through this process for a full cycle, you don't know. You just do not know what you're going to expect. But what I can tell you is, when we are done with this, the village will have a much better understanding of the system, the operation of the system, because yes, while there is a boil order for low pressure in a certain area, that's a lot better on a temporary condition, as opposed to, hey, here's a main break, and we have a fire next to it, and we don't know why there's no water there.
Okay, let me ask you this, with all the little details that you're running into, how much more is that $175,000 going to go up?
Simple.
It's not.
No, we're just marching through the system.
Sir, shake my hand and thank you for answers. Do you guys get that? Answers. I do.
I got 6, come on. Well, I separated it, I don't know.
Any additional, Steve? The motion to put the consent agenda on the table.
I'll make the motion.
Matt's made a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
Second. Anyone have any questions about the warrants or corrections to the minutes from September 13th? Hearing none, clerk, would you take the vote?
Mark Clayton?
Yes.
James Gibson?
Yes.
Terry Dawson?
Yes.
Nina Lindford?
Yes.
Matt Brown?
Yes.
Joe Strauss?
Yes.
Next is an ordinance authorizing contracts with Samuel Construction and Kenny Contractors for sidewalk construction in the village of Chatham. Joe?
Yeah, okay, we have two bids that went out for our MFT sidewalks. One is approval, task for the approval of one bid to Kenny Contractors in the amount of $34,000, and the other was a TIF sidewalk construction work identified in Tickle Sagamore Construction in the amount of $192,390.99. This is something I know we talked about
several months ago in there, and there's a map included that will show you where those sidewalks are. CMT has a letter also included in this to list what the bidders were and where the money is coming from, one from MFT, one from TIF. So I put that on the table.
Joe, we have a motion. Second.
Oh, second.
Second. Any additional questions or comments?
So this is primarily the sidewalk improvement that we decided on with the TIF funds?
Yes. Part of the project area was not inside the TIF, but we were able to use some MFT funds for that section. That's why we had to bid it as two separate contracts.
So you can see it on the,
So this is the
away from the red.
Yeah, the red is the TIF, and the blue one is the MFT.
On the East Chestnut, what block are we talking about there? The next one.
Slide over to the next one.
It says East Chestnut. What block are we there?
Here's RP lumber, so it's the block just out there.
200 block. 200 block? Yeah, because I'm at 300. So it's not in our neck of the woods. Okay, no, okay.
There are additional questions or comments from the board?
So where's the motion?
So,
The motion to accept this,
Yes.
pass this ordinance.
my question is in regards to this. Is this going to eventually be closed? Because there was some comments here where the railroad actually owns a portion of this, and this road was going to be closed right here.
South Main will come up, there'll be a cul-de-sac here.
Okay?
East Spruce will come, there'll be a cul-de-sac here.
Okay, so
There's enough right-of-way in here to put a sidewalk in.
okay, but it'll be a sidewalk going through, but the street itself will not go through.
It'll be cul-de-sac in both directions.
And that sidewalk's being done as part of the railroad crossing project. That small segment.
So there's not going to be any work we're going to do that's eventually going to be altered because of or basically nullified because of the...
Right. They left out the section that will be part of the project.
Why that section? Who determined that section?
For one, it was in our TIF district.
But the TIF district's bigger than what you're showing there, correct?
That was a project that staff and the engineers looked at and said would give people access from on both sides of the tracks and Route 4 to be able to get from at least down around Goldenrod all the way up to essentially Walnut Street.
Because East Spruce doesn't need a sidewalk there. It's already one there.
It's only 3 feet wide, so it doesn't meet ADA requirements.
Anything additional for the board or for Jim while he's standing?
I'm going to talk to you when this is over.
Very nice. Madam Clerk, can you take the vote, please?
Do you want to repeat the motion, please?
The motion is to authorize the contract with Sangamo Construction. Sorry.
It's to approve an ordinance authorizing the contract with Sangamo Construction.
He's got it on here, 16-52.
So approve ordinance 1652 as written. So I'll just say what it says right here then.
I think if you just take the motion is to approve the ordinance.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Take the roll then. Mark Clayton?
Yes.
Dave Kinsey?
Yes.
Terry Fountain?
Yes.
Nina Lindhorst? Stay. Matt Now?
Yes.
Joe Chatham?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance authorizing the purchase of electric distribution material. Joe?
Yes, on these for the purchase of electric distribution material. Shane talked to us previously about this. There were 3 bidders, Brownstown, Annixter, and Fletcher. There's various types of materials that we asked for bids on. We took the lowest bid of each different material, and one went to Brownstown. We had 6 go to Annixter, and we had 9 go to Fletcher. And it was the lowest bid on each set of materials. And I put that up for consideration. I'll second.
This is for Spark Valve first plat, and we will get reimbursed for all of this.
Additional questions for Pat? Okay. So if any motion, Matt second. Madam Clerk, take the roll.
We're motioning for the ordinance authorizing the purchase of electric distribution material.
1653, correct.
Did you say you took the lowest bid, right?
As described in the ordinance.
Okay.
Are those bids on the website? You put them on?
Madam Clerk, can you take the roll?
Okay. Mark Clayton?
Yes.
Dave Kinsey?
Yes.
Terry Fountain?
Yes.
Nina Langworth?
Yes.
Matt Mel?
Yes.
Joe Shopman?
Yes. Okay. Then committee discussion, number 1 item is review the cable television franchise agreement signed between the village of Chatham and Comcast. Pat, get a comment on that whole list.
We're going to put that on hold still. The contract doesn't expire until 2018. Myself and Shane need to sit down and go over a few items that we'd like to see changed in that contract.
Okay, item 2 is the review of the final plat, Spark Valley, plat 1.
We have the engineer for the developers here and our engineers here. You guys want to discuss that?
Discuss.
Well, I'll just lay it out.
So final plan for Spark Valley, Unit 1, which is right behind Spark Valley Sports Complex. But basically, it has been approved through the Planning Commission. There were a handful of items that were outstanding from the Planning Commission that we worked through. A couple of those involved, let's see, we had a drainage swale that we wanted to make sure that there were some assurances that drainage swales that go across private property or individual lots are maintained. The developers can put drainage monuments in there, so those are met and matched in the field so that can't be altered in the future. We had concerns associated with fences across drainage areas, so fences didn't block the drainage ways and heat flow on other properties upstream. That's been addressed in the policy. There was a concern about the pond design in terms of safety shelves, and what the concern was on that is they wanted the safety shelf under the water, whereas we're providing a safety shelf at the water level. And we believe that fulfills 2 purposes. One is you have a maintainable, mowable, desirable walkway all the way around the pond that's at a flat level area, as opposed to underneath the water. And it makes it a much more desirable, attractive facility that the homeowners association would actually want to partake in, as opposed to having, say, 2-to-1 slopes going down the side of a pond with riprap, and then having a shelf underneath the water that's just going to collect cattails and debris and everything else that's going to end up basically being an eyesore in final condition. The last item that was of concern is there's some outstanding language between the City of Springfield and Village of Chatham in terms of a maintenance agreement for Woodland Trail. Woodland Trail is owned and operated by Lake Services, CWLP. Okay, so this development being within the Village of Chatham would have access to a public roadway being Woodland Trail under the jurisdiction of CWLP. Now, What we've requested of the Village of Chatham is that roadway be brought up to Village of Chatham standards in terms of the pavement section. We did not want an old oil and chip roadway that services a brand-new facility. We did not want another mansion road. So as this development continues, this roadway would be brought up to village standards in terms of the pavement design. It will still be a rural pavement section with the roadside ditches, but the pavement structure itself will be designed suitable for the traffic and the development associated with this project. So, City of Springfield is fine with that. The thing that they're wanting to do is turn over the maintenance responsibilities of this section of Woodland Trail to the Village of Chatham. The Village of Chatham is going to use it for Village of Chatham purposes, development, and so forth. They want to turn over the maintenance to the Village of Chatham for this roadway. Our concern from an engineering standpoint is that's fine, but the roadway needs to be brought up to the Village of Chatham standards. We don't want a roadway that's going to cost us $500,000 in 10 years because we have, larger residential properties and numerous residential properties all coming in and out of an oil and chip road like Mansion Road. So that's what our concern was. A draft agreement has been prepared. We've reviewed that. There's a couple of comments that we have in terms of tightening up the language and specifying some of the conditions in there. The City of Springfield left it fairly loose, not very restrictive, but there's some concerns that we have to make sure that the Village of Chatham is covered, in the future. And part of that is, the length of the roadway that's going to be under the Village of Chatham responsibility. There's a request to maintenance responsibilities in terms of if Lake Services wants to use this area that they previously used for a dredge facility, if they need heavy equipment on the roadway, then that's acceptable. And then they wanted to reserve the right for road closures if needed for purpose of access to their equipment. Some of our concerns are, well, if you provide a road closure, we still need access for emergency vehicles and for the residents along this roadway. So if the road's closed, they need to have access around the back side or through one side that you can't just, okay, no one's leaving their house today, we're closing the roadway and working it up. So things like that we're working through. A copy of the draft agreement was provided to Jeff for his initial review. So over the next couple of weeks, we want to work with Jeff, ourselves, and the developer to tighten up that language. And we've passed out a copy as well that we can discuss if there's any other concerns that the village trustees and mayor have. So, but all in all, development's going well. We're probably about 90% complete on it. Pavements, base course pavements in. Surfaces happening today. Surface happening today. The pond still needs to be excavated. It's starting this week. And utilities have been, all installed and approved, tested. So, really we're pretty close on this, and it's fairly near complete development. So, with these handful of issues, no concerns that I have at this point from an engineering standpoint. We just need to tighten up that language a little bit on the agreement between the Village of Chatham and the City of Springfield.
Your anticipation is that language will be done within the next 2 weeks? Does that give you enough time, Jeff?
Yes. So we wanted to present this to you guys, just for initial consideration, and then formally present it at the next board meeting.
Additional questions for firm engineering or?
In regards to the road, if there's going to be improvements made on it, and those improvements start kicking in based on, I assume, the number of houses that you have. So, and I'm assuming that these number of houses are not all going to be made within a year. So, who will control the road if an improvement is made to a portion of the section, but not the entire road at that time? So then, whose responsibility will it be? Will Chatham have the responsibility for just a part of the road, and then Springfield would have the responsibility for the rest of it?
And that's part of the question that I have in terms of tightening that language. Right now, the way it's shown, and all we have is a rough draft from the City of Springfield. The City of Springfield showing all of it going to Chatham at this time. not necessarily know that that's fair in terms of a full maintenance agreement, but we could look at possibly staging that in terms of as development is completed, through the frontage, we'll accept maintenance responsibilities of the frontage of the development and have that step through, or there may be some other ideas that Jeff has in terms of, how we can logically do this, but as it sits right now, it's, the full limits of what the village of Chatham has annexed.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, you're absolutely right, we need to have it tightened up, because there's no reason for Chatham to go out there and plow a portion of it, and then stop, and then Springfield to go out there and have to plow the rest of it.
Correct.
But I don't want to say that we're going to take full responsibility of it, and then for some reason, let's say the housing market crashes, and the development doesn't go through, and then we're stuck with an unimproved road. So how does that work?
Those are all discussions that we had today.
Okay. Well, I don't know what the
So
page.
we've just got to work it out with the city's ordinance.
Okay. Good, because that's what you're saying is, that's a concern.
You'll get to okay it before it's accepted.
There's some questions.
Yeah.
Right here, none. Shall we move this then to the board agenda for 2 weeks from now?
Will it be ready for the,
We'll put it on there, if it's not,
If it isn't, then
we'll just carry it over, thank you.
Hey, Pat or Jim,
yes.
this is Terry. What is the length of Spartan Drive?
It's probably 2,000 feet, 2,200 feet.
Yeah.
2,200 feet, Terry?
Okay, and so we're looking at about 1,200 feet to that first cul-de-sac. Just looking at it proportionally. Now, has this come through the Chatham Fire District for comments?
The sanitary district?
Fire district.
Fire district?
I would think it would,
Yeah.
to promote
That's all
the
been-
plan process.
Well, then submitted to them, yes.
Okay, so it's gone through and they were fine with it, or do they have any comments?
Yeah, no comment. Their concern in the past has been, the density of lots on a single cul-de-sac. So this is below what the ordinance and their threshold is.
Okay. And I know we're below our 70, as far as having more than one entrance.
Correct.
But just know that it was definitely a long stretch in. I didn't know if there were any comments or concerns.
No, Phil expressed no concerns when we provided him with the preliminary plats.
Okay.
Item 3 then is a resolution establishing an ad hoc committee to develop a transition plan for ADA Act. Terry?
Terry?
Yes.
You can go ahead on the ADA ad hoc committee.
Okay, apologize, I was closing the different documents on the computer. Yeah, basically, this is in draft. I'm hoping to present it at the next board meeting for passage. But basically, what I'd like to do is establish an ad hoc committee to develop a ADA transition plan. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay. Transitional plan, for the village. And this is where I'd like to make sure the public is involved in this committee, along with a couple of the trustees, hopefully I would be one of them, to kind of come up with where are the initial concerns as far as where we need to make sure we've got sidewalks that meet ADA, where do we prioritize our needs, and start coming up with that transition plan. So I just want to kind of get the other trustees' feel for this. If they felt that the 2 trustees for each citizens being the committee is sufficient, so that we can make any other changes before it comes before the village board again at the next meeting.
Questions for Terry?
The only thing I saw on there is, I think for this, we probably want to add a person from staff to be the staff liaison to the committee. I don't know if that would be Pat, or Pat would designate a person from staff, but it might be Ryan, I don't know who it would be, but I think there should be a staff liaison, sort of like an ex officio, not necessarily a voting member, but someone that would be a liaison for the committee. That's my comment.
What did you want your committee structure to be, Terry?
Yeah, and I would agree that it would be nice to have someone on staff, I'll say, in some cases, doing some of the grunt work if needed, as far as getting additional information as needed for the committee members.
This committee, Terry, that you're proposing, this is the one that begins the process, correct?
Well, it's going to be sort of a combination. There's the first part where you do a self-evaluation, and that's where you kind of take a look at your current facilities and see where the facilities meet ADA requirements and areas where you have either no facilities or facilities that are substandard to ADA requirements. So I kind of see this going sort of hand in hand at the same time as we're trying to gather the information. Let's also kind of take a look and say, okay, here's where the more immediate needs are to take a look at. So, this is typically the second part, but I see taking both the first part as far as the self-evaluation and this, and kind of doing it jointly at the same time.
Hey, Terry, I think it's a great idea. I guess in advertising to fulfill this committee, I would just say I would hope that your goal, or the mayor's goal, would be to find someone with expertise in the ADA, and also some kind of, as maybe in a system with your background, more of an engineering type, in community planning type credentials.
And I think that's where my expertise will definitely come into helping, to serve on this committee. And, that's one reason I brought it up after talking to one of the citizens after one of the meetings about having troubles getting to certain parts of Chatham that they wanted to see about taking care of. Part of it was, there's been some improvements, but not fully yet on one of the areas that they had talked about. I know Pat is taking a look. I know when I get back, I'll end up taking a little bit more look as far as some railing. So, yeah, I would love to serve on this committee. I mean, leave it up to the mayor to make that decision, but I think my background would serve well.
Additional questions, comments? Okay. We'll move this to our agenda for 2 weeks from now. If we have additional questions or presentation when Harry's in town, it might be a little easier, so we'll have it on the agenda for 2 weeks. Item 4 is also you, Terry.
Yes. After hearing, probably for the past couple of months, being on the board since the end of May, as far as being appointed, I know one of the concerns that I kept hearing during public comments was dealing with the nepotism, whether it's real or perceived. I decided to take a look in our ordinance. It was fairly short as far as what was spelled out. I did talk to Jeff. Jeff gave me some language that has been used in other villages that they represent. I think what he has here is sort of what I was shooting for. However, the one thing that is missing, and I know I had said something to Jeff sort of late, that's similar to what we currently have in our current ordinance, dealing with existing employees who all of a sudden they have an immediate family member who gets elected. Basically they would be protected, or I'll say sort of grandfathered in. So there's some language there that needs to be added in.
And Terry, I think that actually is in the most up-to-date version, but I don't think that's what got posted to board docs.
Okay.
So there is a version that has that, that also has, we actually put the existing nepotism provisions in the ordinance and struck it out so you can see exactly, what it was before and what it is now. But before, if you look at the existing provision of the village code, it's about 2 or 3 sentences. It's very short. Doesn't have a lot of definitions, explanations, that type of thing.
Questions for Terry?
Sorry to interrupt, Terry, but
Terry or Jeff, I guess at this point, any questions?
Just on the 90 days on the revolving door, I'm just curious, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, just how did we get to 90 days?
Make it 60 days, make it 180. I just felt 90 days seemed like at least an appropriate time. If someone feels it needs to be shorter or longer or what have you, just from what I was hearing from some of the various residents during public comments, basically so-and-so's friend was so-and-so, so they're getting, elected, and all of a sudden they're being, getting a job, this kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, let's throw a number out there, 90 days. If someone else believes that needs to be changed to something either greater or less, I guess it's definitely up for debate.
Terry, I was personally thinking 1 to 4 years instead of 90 days.
You would.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah.
Does our current have a policy that it's 6 months, so it'll just be shortened from 6 to 3 months?
I want to increase it.
Well, it's currently 6 months already.
That's fine, I want to increase it.
Right, I'm saying that this has time, so I'm just saying, it only really less than existing.
Yeah, and it stays 1 year, correct? Yes.
And that brings up a good point, because I think that there's this provision in the village code, but then I've also been told there's provisions in some sort of other, maybe personal handbook, and that might be where you guys are getting the 6-month from, so we could keep that consistent in here and update that to the 6-month.
And I would have no problems with that either.
And that was gonna be the other thing I was gonna say, is we do need to look and see if there need to be any other kind of comparisons to any other provisions within the village on these issues. But then we also, with our unions, I don't foresee the unions having great concerns about this. It's not gonna affect any of their existing employees. But obviously, anytime you're adopting policies like this and then they interact with the unions, we give them notice, all that type of stuff too, so.
So, can I suggest then we hold this one, at least for the next committee, to make sure we compare it with the existing policy handbook, given ample time, because it does address employment, to at least notify the union before we try to pass something that we circle back to, because there's an unforeseen objection.
I guess I would have no problems with that, to make sure, we're in
I do have
the proper working, with the other state statutes that are out there, and then I guess make sure we kind of go through with the various unions, as far as contracts, say, okay, here's what we're proposing, do you guys have big issues here? And then I guess take a further discussion if there are some.
Yeah, I do have one additional question. So, and this, for legislative intent, I want to make sure we have this correct, is if there is an employee currently that's a staff member, and that employee is related to a member of an elected official, can that employee, if there's a job opening if there's an additional job opening within the village, that employee is already an employee of the village, can that employee go for that additional job opening?
I think that's a policy decision, but I think the intent here would be yes. If there's already somebody working here, maybe they've been working towards, promotions or whatever, as a board have to decide that, but do you necessarily want to?
Yeah, I would like to see that as a yes, but right now, the way the language is written is may not be considered for employment by the village. So I'm going to make sure that doesn't mean that even an employee, even a person that is currently employed by the village, would that person then be able to be considered for a different position?
Yeah, I think right at this point, the way it reads is basically just being employed. So if they're already employed, yeah, this does not address any type of a promotion, let's say, or changing from one position to another position within the village. It does not.
I just want to be sure that's crystal clear. I don't want to come back and fight somebody at a later date. Thank you.
I have a question about this.
So, Jeff,
Is this going to include the many shufflings of the same people we have had going through village employment? I'm not talking about the guys out there that are working, I'm talking about on this board, rotating people who the mayor wants, he always grabs a friend out of the air to plop into these openings. I can think of one person's been recycled 3 times.
Are you talking about employee positions or appointed positions?
Appointed positions.
And that's different. And I think you have to make a little bit of a differentiation there. And looking at some of the cases on that, I think the board has the authority to enact some policies regarding employment and some restrictions on that. However, if you start to enact policies that would interfere with the appointment authority of the mayor, then that's something the courts have not liked. So,
Do you know how that works?
And the appointments are covered under the municipal code, correct?
yeah, so that's something that I think, is kind of, has to be a little bit of a separate issue, and you have to hold kind of the mayor accountable for that type of thing. But this policy is designed specifically for employees of the village.
Friends and family plans, great motion here.
okay, so we'll hold that for further discussion. Item 5, trustee Kilgore.
Okay, so, this is an action plan that we have sat down and met with prior to, my a month ago. Myself, Dave, and Jeff, and Jewel sat down and really tried to, where are all the concerns with water at? And our goal was to put everything down on paper and make sure we're getting all of the information before we make decisions. So we make the decisions right. So I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's not fast enough, it's not enough time. This is an action plan, and we haven't had one in place. So let's be happy there's an action plan in place right now and read, because my goal right now in this today is to make sure us as a board are okay with this. Because if we can't get us to agree, we're not going to get anywhere. So that's my goal today. So I ask that you just be respectful of that, and then we'll go over more details. We're going to tear apart and dissect this on a later date. Today is making sure we can do something and get the information. So, I know not everything is the detail that you want, but we'll get there. But we have to start now, or I'm gonna pull my hair out in another year when we're sitting here having the same conversation, okay? All right, so, the goal of this is to gather information from the volunteers and ensure we take proper steps as a village board in addressing our water concerns for our community. It's imperative that we communicate this claim with transparency to the citizens of Chatham. So that's one thing, as things are coming up, our goal is to communicate with you guys on a regular basis what's going on. The same thing, if you guys have things that you feel as though will be helpful, then you just send it to us. That is going to be helpful as well. I know some of the stuff you guys have given me, I forwarded on to people, so it works both ways. Currently, we have an RFP going on with 3 law firms, which we actually meet with this evening. Our goal is from that to basically find out if maybe we can see if they bring in a breach, maybe limit our scope at that time for a forensic audit, and then we'll bring in. And then we'll start talking about the forensic audit at that point. And that's something that I know a lot of board members want to limit that. So when that topic is going to come up, we're going to focus on limiting that scope as a board, and then start to request the RFP for that. Step 2, after meeting with them, we met with CMT, and Jeff was there as well, and Jules. And our goal for step 2 is to really ensure that right now, South St. Louis Water Commission is doing their steps as they're making decisions, that we have someone making sure that they're taking care of the Lake Chatham people. That person that we're looking at is obviously CMT. They have, as has been pointed out, one of the best water people around Bill. So we need to start using them to our advantage. What they're going to do is give us down the road what it's going to cost for them to do these following things. CMT, our goal is that they'll be advising the Village of Chatham on water quality and supply issues on South St. Louis Water Commission. So they'll be coming in and doing representation at meetings to communicate on water quality status update and answer questions regarding Chatham and South St. Louis Water Commission. So they're actually going to come when they provide us with what they're going to do overall. They're going to give dates. Those dates are going to be nice because you guys will have those dates ahead of time and know when they're coming in, know when the questions can be answered. You can also submit questions. We're really looking into how it's going to make it easy for them to communicate to us and to the community what's going on, because we have not had that. And I think that's great because they understand it and we have that trust with them. And I just think us letting South St. Louis Water Commission go on their own, we just can't, we've got to build something there. Provide advice and guidance to the village board to ensure that South St. Louis Water Commission is providing the best water possible and we're addressing water concerns. And then one thing they're going to do is provide us with the now best and better options that they think for that plant. After we go through step 1 and step 2, obviously, step 1 is addressing more of the red flags. Can we do other options without the plant? The second one is also making sure if we have to make the steps to save the plant, we need to have the cost of the now best better option. So then we come into step 3, the comprehensive financial plan. This is scenarios that after we've got all the information from step 1 and 2, we're going to have request an RFP on the following, which is exploration of options and financial implications, and then South St. Louis Water Commission with the now better and best option given by CMT. So, again, it's step 1 and 2 are going to take a long time for them to get in there and make those decisions. And right now, their first step is going to be get us the proposal, what they're doing, and then we can look it over and see what they're going to address and what it's going to cost. Right now, I think that's the biggest thing that we need to address. And then also, on the other side is the legal part of it as well. So we're hitting two areas. Yes, I know everybody wants the answers today. Trust me, I would. It would make it a lot easier. But I do not want to make a rush decision on anything. I don't want to spend money until we all have the information in front of us. And I've said that from the beginning. I don't know what the right answer is. But that's because I feel as I've got information from not just the people here, but the people in the community. Everybody has a different point of view. So now is our opportunity to take these professionals that have never been involved with any of this, that are going to come in and give us, their request, and give us their opinion, and then we make the decision from there. Sadly, that decision's not going to come right away. But you guys, our community is going to be updated on a regular basis of what's going to happen, which is great. The fact that we can say, hey, we're taking a step for this, to me is a big step in the right direction. Once all this information is gathered, that's when we as a village board or as a community have to make those decisions once the final comes in. Again, like I said, this is the plan. We have to talk about it, we have to have the feedback of what you guys like, what you guys don't like, what your thoughts are on all of it. I've talked to some of you guys individually, but I think now we kind of have to dig in and see what we want to do.
Comments, questions?
Nina, Barry.
Yes. I'm Mary. Nina.
A question for you on step 2. I'll say dot point or dash line item 2. Provide advice, guidance to the village board to ensure that the South Central Water Commission is providing the best water possible and or addressing water concerns. I guess my question is, you put in the best water possible, there's going to be a cost also associated with that, or at least in my opinion, there would be a cost associated with that.
Right, that's that now, that's better.
So my question is, are we looking for just the best, or are we looking for water that is, let's say, comparable to CWOP? What exactly are we looking for? Because there is a cost. You probably get the best water you want if you spend, $200 or $300 million. But I don't think that's the route we want to go. So I guess there needs to be a little bit more to that line, in my opinion.
Yes, Terry, you're exactly right, and we are doing that. We're going to take those 3 options and say, put them into that financial plan at the end. We're not making, do not think you're making the decision on any of this until all the information is provided at the end. And that's something that, you know what I'm saying? So we will have a better now, you know what I mean? Like you said, we'll take that $10 million and say, oh, let's put it in here, but let's take the better option that might be okay and put it in here. And then we have to figure out all those formulas and have those answers. So it's not a cookie cutter approach. It's not A is the option, is the answer. It's going to be, let's see what A, B, and C do, and what the end result is for that. Does that make sense?
I agree. I just have a concern saying providing the best water possible, and not mentioning anything in there at, a reasonable cost now and in the future.
I think one thing probably to not get hung up on exactly what the limits are, is just say this is kind of an outline of like a workflow, Terry.
And Trustee Lindhurst, and I'm the one who I think probably have used the phrase try to get the best water possible. Some people don't like it when I say that. I've heard that before, and I think, maybe it is a little bit of wordsmithing, but I think the crappy water. When you say crappy water,
Kind of crappy water.
semi-okay. But I think the point there is, whether it's under the circumstances or it's affordable or whatever, but, we want to have the best water we can have, and again, that might not mean that we want to go out and spend $200 million, but, we want to have good water. That's what we're trying to say, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's really gonna come back to the SSWC ensuring that they're giving us options as to what they can do for improvement, and those costs is better, best, and, now, so.
And that they tell us the truth.
But that's why I call, CMT is, I call them Big Brother. Big Brother. We're out there, because you guys got going. I mean, they're just making, yeah, they're making sure at this point, because, I mean, I don't have trust. So I feel like, and I'm not a water expert, and I've said I don't want to become a water expert, doesn't sound fun to me, sorry, girl. But,
She doesn't like
she doesn't want to be one now yet. So I just think, you know, we need to have somebody out there that we trust, and I think CMT's done a really good job presenting to us when they have. They've been very open and honest with the answers they've given us, even if we don't agree with them. And that's the thing, we're not going to agree on everything. If we can get the information out, I truly believe at the end of the day, the answers are going to be right for us. Because if we're doing these things, the red flags are going to pop up. The numbers are going to be there. We're going to have the answers sitting right in front of us. And hopefully we're only choosing from one or two options.
You know, Nina, I don't think you understand is the bonds that we are paying for were for a 3.3 million gallon a day operation. It was only built for 2.2, and they're only producing like 1.4 or 1.5.
I do, and I actually forwarded that on to somebody.
And that's why.
That's what we're saying is, you sent that to me, I already passed that on.
But here's the thing, if they want to improve that facility out there to get it up to 3.3 million, who's going to pay for that? We as citizens have already paid for it.
And if you look at it, it's kind of a three-pronged approach, if you will. You're looking at the legal aspect, you're looking at the cost aspect, you're looking at, when I say the legal, I mean the breach. You're also looking at what the SSWC would have to put into this plant to make the water good, and there's a cost to that. So all these options go into play. It's not saying we're looking at, hey, let's improve the water quality, and we're not concerned with cost from the SSWC. We're saying let's look at these three different areas to say what is the best financial option and what is the best as far as water quality option is. And I think these three things really lay it out to say we're not going to take one avenue approach. We're going to look at every option possible that makes the best sense for the citizens. And yeah, is it probably late? Yeah, but I think this is the closest thing we've got to a plan of action that gives us the framework to start putting these things forward and making decisions.
And I also think that if you do a forensic audit, you don't start from 2009. You go back to 1999, the year 2000, and you start looking then, you're going to find a lot of stuff there.
And that said that, you know, that's the thing, and I talked to, I would say, the majority of the trustees, and they said, all respond. Send us what your information is. We're committed to this plan. So if the community has stuff that they want to give us to be successful in this plan, let's do it. Send it on to us and say, these are things that need to be looked at. Well, this comes through. I mean, it's not gonna hurt, and we need stuff to say, hey, these are some red flags we see. Are they red flags?
But you said the timeframe's going to be a year, 2 years, 3 years?
So about a year.
And why would it take a year? When all these problems have been presented, popping up over and over and over again, and when CMT was brought on board, he was brought on, or not he specifically, but the engineering firm was brought on because they were familiar with water and they knew that that was problem, no problem, yes problem, maybe problem. But they were already aware, and according to warrants, they've already been looking into this. Why do they need to start all over again? Why hasn't it been brought up and if they've been looking at this already, we've spent, what, maybe $7,000 already on them looking into this, and now we're going to say, well, they get another year? I'm not understanding where the
I
program's
think
going.
you're focusing on just the engineering aspect, but this goes to much greater lengths than just the engineering facet. And, just like, this is a significant deal here, and I say that because it took years to get this plant going, and it took a lot of money to get this plant going. It's not all of a sudden we're gonna get one answer and be able to say, this is the answer we're looking for, now we can go. We're gonna have to, this is an action plan that lays out the research, and like I said, the framework and foundation to get us to a point where we can make a sound decision for the citizens to say, at this cost we can do X, at this cost we can do Y, and at this cost we can do Z. And this is the closest thing I think we've gotten to putting it on paper to say, these are the best ways to get to those options.
And I think that piggyback on what the hard part's gonna be is there's going to be, as we're going through this stuff, there's gonna be red flags pop up that you're gonna show, no, we have to make sure we have all the information before we can do that. You know what I mean? It cannot be go without having everything, all the information from all the angles.
But I don't understand how you're going to get all this information and put it into one package.
It's not okay.
Well, I mean, you're doing your steps, and you're saying, well, for step number one, step number two, that, how are you ever going to condense it down that step one's even ever completed?
I have trouble following you.
I'm sorry.
Well, okay, number one, go back up to number one. You're stating that you're currently with 3 law firms. Okay, the 3 law firms for what?
That's the RFP that's looking for the breach from the legal side. And then we get down into the forensic audit, and that goes into a whole totally different avenue here.
Right, because it can't be the same type, because it isn't dealing with the same thing.
Right.
Correct. So basically, you really do have different ones looking at the different areas.
Correct.
It's just not one person saying, oh, well, I understand it a little bit better now.
Yes, even for everything there is.
Questions or comments from the board? Can we, this kind of framework, general framework?
Is that what you're wanting, general questions, or?
I asked for comments or questions.
Okay. Well, in step one, it talks about, of course, the law firm RFD and the forensic audit. Have we thought about how they're going to pay for either one of those?
Well, we don't really know what it costs yet.
Well, I don't either. But what I'm asking is whether it costs $10 or $10 million. Have we thought about how we're going to pay for it?
Well, I think it's an opportunity cost too, because you look at doing nothing, no action, or inaction, there's a cost associated with that too.
Do you raise water rates to pay for it? Do you borrow again from the general fund to prop up the water fund?
Why do we not?
It's not.
Well, it should be, because we passed those.
It's not. So I'm saying, we would have to borrow from somewhere to pay for it.
But we also have a budget surplus that we could pay for as well.
So
These are water issues.
But we don't know how
The
much.
general fund is not a water issue. Pay for.
We love the general fund, water fund, all that.
That's solid and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you making every excuse not to do something is just.
No, I want to know how we're going to pay for it. That's not an excuse.
Yeah, it is, because we don't know how much it costs. Okay, how much is it going to cost not to do anything? Tell me that. Do you know that?
I want to know what it's going to cost. I want to know what it's
Same
going
way
to
I can't
cost.
tell you how much this is going to cost.
I think we need to think about how we're going to get the money.
You gave me a number a couple weeks ago, you said $100,000.
I want to know how we're going to get the money. I want to know how we're going to get the money. And I'm not in favor of borrowing from the general fund. So will you raise water rates again?
Surplus?
You raise water rates again?
No, absolutely not. We're not in favor of it.
So then
There's a surplus in the budget.
and I'm not in favor of that. I'm not in favor of that. I'm not in favor of the general fund to bail out the water fund again.
It's going to take how many decades?
It doesn't matter.
I think stop. I think let's stop.
It needs to stop.
Yeah, well, the general fund has a surplus for these type of things.
The water fund needs to stop.
The surplus in the budget is talked about for infrastructure. What is this?
We need it to stop.
So
No one can.
let me step in here in the middle between you. For the second. What Nina's laid out, what we discussed here is at no point is anything yet spent on any of one of these items or all of these items. What it is the request goes out there and you say, okay, if we're gonna look at this, what is it we look at? How does it cost? How do we pay for it? That's the point where you have that discussion on, is this feasible? Do we get this into, some type of project, something that's manageable, this step into something that we can do at a cost that's reasonable for us, that we can justify for the funding. You can vote yes or no on each one of those things. Nothing says you're doing every single thing that's in here, or 40 things, or 2 things. What the layout is just, it's a general framework on here's how we can figure out how we tackle this monster, for lack of a better word. And each one comes up and says, here's what we found here, do we want to do this or not? Do we want to do this or not? There's no real reason to have a debate today over what mythical numbers at this point in time. I guess it's, other than staff time, and I apologize to staff, with some legal work, there's not a substantial cost to getting a price.
The one question I have, or the one thing that I'd like to see added, is under step 2, that we actually receive monthly reports, monthly water quality reports. Because, I'm thinking back to another issue that the village had, where we had a consultant on board, and we never received any reports from this consultant. And I would like to see,
They help figure out, right?
I would like to see monthly reports then from the consultant to this.
As we move through that, and the question I've always asked is, the plant tells us one thing is coming out when they do their report, and, how do we confirm that that's the same thing that we're getting? And then that's kind of, one of the questions we posed to Jim, to try to start to figure out a way for us to answer that is, does their outlook match our input? Would be essentially the question you're asking, and how we might do that.
So I got a question about that.
Further down the line.
You talked about the operator reports being in now. Is CMT going to be going to some of the South Segment meetings to discuss some of those operator reports since they've been in Dallas for the last 18 or 20 months? Have they been producing those?
They started to correct, they had a formula error in the spreadsheet, that's what that was.
The last 4 commissioners, none of them actually caught that error we've had 4 that can't catch any kind of simple arithmetic error.
And our commissioner is not here again.
Well, that's why, this is again, why we're implementing CT in there is because there's been so many issues, you're right. And we can, there's a laundry list, but if we don't do something and we keep listing what's wrong, we're never gonna get anywhere. We're gonna continue arguing, we're gonna continue to fight.
I'm just asking if he's going to be able to go out there and actually look at some of those reports. That's what
And that was something we asked him, if they felt like there was a relationship where it wasn't going to be uncomfortable, and he said no, if there is, he'll let us know.
Right.
Any addition? 6, update on the status of the annexation process.
Are we
There's no ordinance or resolution
Right,
to pass, it's
so
just kind of
we've
this.
got at least 4 of us. Is Jerry committed to this? Matt not committed to it?
Don't put words in my mouth.
That's what I asked.
No, you said or not. So,
You're such a jerk.
Told you.
My only concern is the cost. That's my concern. And Rose, and how we're gonna pay for it.
Excuse me, but that's...
For now, there's public right here, so that's okay.
So you'll let us through as those things approach, annexation
Annexation project is moving forward. I'm meeting tomorrow with our attorneys, and we're gonna set up a court date and try to get this, I don't know if it's possible at the end of this, before the end of this year, or at the beginning. So,
And if we can get this before the end of this year, does that, then would those people, would those residents pay 2016 property taxes to the village?
Once we get them annexed in, that's another day.
Tax bills are already out.
What do you say? The levy.
Bills already go out?
The levy should be out by now. The levy with 15 was not, 15 bills are out. I don't know what the answer is. So it's an assessment question. Yeah, we can find that out. Just bring it up. Number 7, cannabis service citation ordinance. Chief Foley.
And what you have in front of you is, the legislature decided to decriminalize cannabis, 10 grams or less. What you have in front of you is basically, it's an ordinance that hopefully we can adopt at the next meeting, is it's, 10 grams or less of cannabis is a, No, it's not misdemeanor, it's a civil offense now.
Take it, right?
So basically, it's a citation, it does not go on anyone's criminal record, it's a civil fine, you get a civil. My suggestion is that we enact the ordinance to bring that money back to the village of Chatham as opposed to just issuing a state fine and issuing that money just basically to the state. It's for the cannabis, it's also for the paraphernalia.
You can do that without...
Yes.
And then, from the audience, part of what makes it hard, especially having been on the phone trying to participate in the background noise makes it a lot difficult.
And with that, would we be able to do administrative, would we be able to run our administrative adjudication?
Yes.
So everything would be done basically in-house?
Yes. So essentially what the state law says is anything less than 10 grams by local ordinance can be moved to a citation as opposed to a civil proceeding. Is that the criminal proceeding, sorry. Is that so? Chief Foley has proposed that we take that option that is available to us as a municipality. Is there any questions for the chief?
I think it's a great idea.
There's some extra money for the... Good stuff.
Just funding the action plan.
We'll have this ordinance on the agenda for 2 weeks. Net metering policy passed.
The metering policy is set up for people with wind power and solar power, being able to connect those into our electric grid. We've been working with electric supplier to come up with verbiage for that, and then there's also a couple local distributors, I think solar power, that's been giving us information to put a program together. We've given it to our attorneys to review, and there's just a few little touch-up items, but we would like for the board to review it and be prepared to pass it at the next meeting.
So there are 3 documents attached there that concern this net metering policy. Ask questions to review and be ready with an ordinance in 2 weeks.
You're talking about the committee of the whole meeting or?
No, next, at the board meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Can I make a quick comment on that?
It's not going to be a sales pitch, is it?
To be anti-sales. You got comments from the wind turbine industry and the solar industry. Why don't you get comments from the people that may be affected by the solar and the wind?
before you do all of your ordinance.
So what you're working up is the language on it. So
Yeah, I think that's, and I wasn't the attorney that did this, but I think that's already what's, we've got those documents on the,
as far as anybody interested on the other side, read along with us if we're learning what this is.
so are you suggesting make sure public is getting the word?
Well, yeah, I'm suggesting that you gave the wind industry opportunity to assist in drafting the ordinance. You gave the solar industry an opportunity to assist you in drafting the ordinance. There are people that are affected by wind turbines and solar. They should, at some point, be given the opportunity to assist in drafting the ordinance so everyone understands on their rights.
I think maybe I think we're thinking of two things. What he's talking about is a net metering policy, so anybody that already has the capability to generate on their own premise can backfeed into the grid, as opposed to, I think what you're talking about is actual construction of things.
So this won't allow somebody to put a wind turbine in their yard and connect at a later date?
All the proper zoning, I think, would have to be followed at that point.
Or solar panels on their roof? I believe this would allow that connection also. That's the reason why I'm commenting on that.
If they're currently zoned to be able to have that.
No.
I think most houses can have solar panels.
Put a panel on the roof, yes. Right. And that's a decision whether you can sell your excess back or not, and regardless.
I'm just asking that you allow the citizens the opportunity to
I think that was,
assist in developing.
I don't have a problem with that. I think that if you guys look at that and you like the verbiage, you have a public hearing before, to allow people to make comment on it before you adopt it.
Do you want to send that to the...
It doesn't have to be passed at the next board meeting. You can have public comment on it at the next committee meeting. So we'll put it on the agenda for the next committee meeting, and anybody who would like to make comment on the final verbiage, or at least not the draft version, then that way if there's comment on it, we can always have time to go back and adopt it if you choose to go along with the public comment.
That doesn't bother me.
That's awesome.
No.
I think it's a good idea.
So we'll have it there for discussion in 2 weeks. Mr. Brian, SEMA training.
We have an exercise coming up, a joint exercise with all Chatham School District. They brought us in with Chatham Village, Police Department, the Fire District is in. They brought us in to assist on planning with the event. It's going to actually be a 2-hour event. It's called a functional exercise where we're going to be moving some resources around. We're going to simulate some other ones so we keep the costs down on the exercise itself. Just wanted the village, the trustees of the village know that we're going to be doing that exercise.
Questions for Matt? Thank you.
What was his last name?
Brian.
Matt Bryan?
Okay, any information you see?
That's it.
Okay. Scheduled meetings, October 20th is the planning commission, 25th is a regular village board meeting, November 8th is a special meeting with the committee.
So I make a motion now to go into closed session for personnel, litigation, and collective negotiation.
I'll second it. And will we be going back into open session?
We won't be taking any action. And just for the record, the personnel under 16.1 is discussion of the appointment of legal counsel. I think the litigation under GC was a vague
Yes.